All right, Dylan. You shoot really well from the arc tonight. Just kind of what's going on there today?
Just able to see it go in tonight. It wasn't really too much different. Just kind of taking the same shots I've been taking. It just went in tonight.
Does it give you confidence going forward that you can still hit multiples from the perimeter?
I still have my confidence. It's just I feel like I trust in my work and stuff. So I feel like it's gonna go in at some point. But tonight just went in.
I know Coach has talked quite a bit actually about mental mistakes and just kind of being sloppy. How do you move forward?
The biggest thing is watching film. Throughout the game, we kind of know some of the scout mistakes and different things we messed up on. It's just kind of, taking mental notes of that and watching it on film, just being able to be mature enough to watch and be like, okay, we need to get better here. We need to tighten down on this. It's just kind of feel like it's been the same thing, all year. It's just that just tightening down more on the mental side. We're playing hard, we're playing somewhat good, but it's just tightening down that mental side so we don't have that many mistakes.
Does it worry you that you've kind of gone on such a long stretch and struggled this much?
We're urgent. We're not worried too much because we kind of know we know what we need to fix. We know what we need to fix. All the games kind of came down to the last, I would say, 4 or 5 minutes for most of them, and it's we got things that's happening early in the game that we need to fix, so we're in a better position when it comes down to the end of the game.
You mentioned those things early in the game. There was always end of the first half, about a 4-minute stretch where you went scoreless. How do you guys kind of just correct that where you don't have those extended droughts in the first half, early second half?
Just trying to hang our hat on defense. There's gonna be times where the ball may not go in. It's just that we have to make sure we're trying to hang our hat on defense and being consistent on that and trying to use our stops to get our offense going in the moments where the offense is kind of running dry.
Any positives at all from a game like this? You guys battled back late, but anything you can take away from this that you can move forward?
They're a really good team in the league. We battled with them the whole game, and pretty much it was neck and neck the whole game. We played hard. We played really hard. We was able to see some shots going. It's just kind of, it's, like I said, it's a few things we still need to tighten on. We're still working on. We're not close to where we want to be at. So it's kind of week by week and game by game, just trying to progress up.
What is it they did in the second half that kind of threw you guys off a little bit, especially on defense?
The biggest thing, we were prepared for it. We took away their threes really well, but it was just the post-ups, down low, we talked about that a lot before the game, that they're going to come down every possession and throw that ball in the post, and, we're going to have to resist and kind of, fight that fight down there.
Do you think that y'all are strong enough and physical enough to compete against some of these Big Sky teams, especially down low?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like we're strong enough. It's just a matter of us, dialing in more and just showing it more. We could do it on some possessions, but we want to string possessions together, not just do it one time and then clapping. We got to make sure we're doing it time after time, possession by possession.
Yeah, I think for us, as I try to gather my thoughts, it's. I thought there was a lot of good. I thought we played really hard. You look at it, that team's won 9 games in a row now, and I think that we're all fairly similar. And so, the tough thing is, you start looking at your record, you start believing what you are. And so, I thought our guys came out with a championship effort. I thought they were dialed in. I think that, like I told the guys, said in the majority of our games so far in the league, we've been down big. And we've can't come back or whatever it is. The one exception was Idaho State. We had a good lead, lost in overtime. And these have all been pretty close games. But for this game, against this team being so good, that was a 4, 6, 8, 2, 5. It was just there the whole game. And that's where I thought we were a couple plays away from really breaking through. And we didn't quite get that done. I was really proud. Obviously our 3 best players, Matt, Dalen, and Dalton, they played really well, and that's encouraging because we haven't had a lot of that yet this year. And I felt like Dalton's been really good, obviously. He's been really scoring, been really consistent. But I think Matt and Dalen have really trended upwards over the last week and a half. And so I felt good about that as well. We just, they're a little bit better right now. They're a team that you have to decide if you're going to give up threes or you're going to fight them at the rim. We chose fight them at the rim. I thought they finished well, which we knew they probably would. But overall, proud of our effort.
Do you regret fighting them at the rim, considering, you've had some inconsistency at the 5 spot?
No, I don't regret it at all. You look at the stats. Okay, they're 4 for 14 from the 3. If you really deep dive, these guys take the most threes in our league. They're the best shooting team in the league by a landslide. And so to force the best shooting team in the league to only make 4 threes, and then one of those threes was Venters in the zone, so it wasn't even against the man. So there's 3 threes. We were able to take that away. Now, obviously, we got scored on at the rim a little bit. But at the same point in time, and that really happened early in the game, we were still up. And so it looks, man, they're scoring at the rim, but they're not getting those threes. The other reason the plan was what it was, they're a team that statistically give up a ton of threes. So we felt like if we can get good looks, fire them off, and we end up getting 33s. We were 12 for 30, which is good, not good enough. But if we can hit 12 and hold them to 4, I think we probably win the game. And no excuses, but if one of our best shooters is playing too, maybe it's a different story. We're not at full speed, and you play the guys that you got. But that was a game that I do think Riley probably would have got a lot of good looks. And his size, that's another thing, is we didn't have his size to help out. And so, it's I'm excited to see what we look like when we get back to full strength, hopefully soon. But I don't regret it. We spend way too much time studying all this stuff to make a decision, and you make it, and you kind of go with it. But we held Angelo Allegri to 9 points. He's one of the leading scorers in the league. That's because he didn't make a 3. So I thought you got to give and take, because great teams can beat you in a million ways.
Speaking of Riley, do you kind of have an idea when he's back?
I honestly don't know. I think we're close. Keyword think. We obviously need him. He really helps us out, and not just with shooting, but he's a mature player. And in a game like that, the less youth that you have to play and the more experience you can play, it really helps your team out. Riley really understands the game. He can really connect some dots. Hopefully tomorrow we get more good news in terms of his rehab, and we'll see from there. But he's not. It's not going to be too far off, and we're close. But he wasn't cleared tonight, so wasn't quite ready.
Coach, you look at that. At one point in the game, I think you had Brock, Caleb, Langston, Connor, and Matt Johnson II as a rotation. I mean, you were 20 games into this season. Did you ever think that was going to be a rotation in a Big Sky game that you were going to have to rely on? Because you've been missing Jamel. Now, Riley, you haven't had all the pieces. And how do you just kind of keep these guys bought in for, hey, we'll get 100% marches when we can? Yeah, I think that's the mindset in the pitch to the guys, and it's like, hey, we just got to keep getting better. And that's the challenge for our young guys too. That you're not young guys anymore. You cannot make the mistakes that you made in November, and that's the coaching part of it. It's very easy to say, hey, look, playing, and Connor's technically a freshman too, right? But you're playing these freshmen. No, at this point in time, if you're on the floor, the expectation is that you got to help us, and they are. They're doing a good job. But I'm really proud of them. At the same point in time, little mistakes or this or that, just like anybody else, the standard's the standard. You got to be able to execute whatever we're trying to do. So, there was times where we were really young out there, for sure. In foul trouble, Dalton got a couple fouls, Daniel got a couple fouls. That starts to influence your 8-man lineup a little bit. But I thought those young guys, they're playing really hard. They're really doing a good job.
Well, are you worried at all about some of the decision-making in-game? Brock was right under the bucket a couple times, and he threw it away a couple times for, to kick it back out. Are you worried about that? Well,
I think that just goes back to experience, and it goes back to learning curve, and that goes back to, after you take the emotion out of it, and you sit down with your position coach, and you learn by watching the film. We show you on the court. Every situation these young kids are in is something new for them. This is a different level now, and so, I look at them like, okay, a guy like Brock, it's like, well, he had 4 offensive rebounds, playing so hard. He had 6.6 rebounds, but like I was saying, that you still can't make mistakes. We still got to get that ball in. We still got to figure things out. So, it's just it's a push and pull, and we are playing a lot of young guys. But all of our guys, anyone that steps on that court, we got to be ready to go.
You battled back though, coach. You know, you
Yeah.
stayed with them neck and neck for much of the second half. So what is it that they did differently that kind of threw you guys off down the stretch?
Well, I think, when Dalen hit that three in the corner, kind of shot, fake sidestep, hit the three, and again, going like to Dalen, seeing that ball go through the net, making 4 threes is a big, big deal because he struggled to shoot here a little bit recently. But then it's whatever it is, I think we got to, I think it was 64, 62 when he hit that shot.
Yes.
They scored. We came down. Something happened. It was some type of turnover, and they got the run out transition. And that goes, I can't remember what the turnover was, but that was a big deal. So it wasn't anything crazy. It's just that when you're playing a team that's not only won now 9 in a row, but they're confident, right? They're old, they're confident, they don't panic. You gotta make plays. And we were making enough plays to stay in the game, but down that stretch at the end, when they finally separated it out, I think there was probably just a few little mistakes here or there that we made that they didn't make. I just didn't feel like they made a lot of mistakes down the stretch.
I guess the main thing there will be this: don't turn the ball over there in that sense.
Yeah, again, you look at it. We had 14 turnovers. They had 9. A big deal. The rebound game was exactly equal. We made more. Let's see here. They made more. Free throws than us. The threes was well in our favor. Turnover game, and so that's a big thing. We knew they were going to get us a little bit again in the paint by the way we wanted to guard them. But turnover game, just a few little breakdowns here and there that they all get highlighted at the end of the game. But it's also like 3 minutes into a game, you make a mistake. That mistake still counts. They all count. So.
Coach, I asked Dalen about this as well.
Sure.
And we've talked a little bit about this before, but kind of the end of that first half, there was about a 4-minute stretch going into the half where it was a 16-7 run, I believe they had in the half.
Is that what it was?
Steals the momentum. You had the 5-point lead. And so you guys kind of go scoreless there for that extended period of time. How do you guys work through that, especially when you have Matt and Dalen and Dalton, guys that can really fill it up, but
Yeah.
seem to always have that extended 4 to 5 minute stretch?
It's a great question. I think too, you look at it too in terms of trying to, even as we do substitution patterns, so that at some point in time they're not gassed, right? Even though they're really good players, they're going to get tired, and so that's one thing that we have to keep looking at. How do we sub these guys out, give them that quick breather? At the same point in time, I felt like there was a lot of times we made the right play, we did everything right, we spit it out, got a good look, player to make a shot. You know what I mean? So I think that's one thing too, and that goes back to too. Obviously when we get Riley back, he really helps us connect some of those dots and add that fourth scoring threat. Then it's even harder to guard us. You got to really respect his shot. And what happens is the floor starts to stretch itself out. The floor right now for those 3 guys is really condensed. It just is, and so we got to kind of manipulate the game a little bit. But the easiest way to get to score, though, to be honest, is we got to get more stops so that we can play in transition. It's hard to score against a set defense, and so if we can get more stops, we did not get enough stops, obviously. The stats say that too. But if we get more stops, we can play in transition. And then those guys are so good when they can get out in the open and play.